If there is no negative response to their actions, they'll just keep doing it because the investment is clearly in one direction.
Yeah,
it's positive reinforcement.
Kid wants to eat sugar, and you're like, no, you can't have that. Like, you're being mean. Why are you being mean? I want it. And you're like, you're not going to have it. Sorry.
That's a good example.
And so that's me being mean. But if I'm actually want to hurt that kid and make that kid's life worse, I'm not. That's not the reason to be mean.
If you want to make that kid's life worse, you give him more sugar.
Exactly.
It's like a
or
kid.
call him an idiot. I could insult him too. You stupid moron. I'm not trying to hurt the kid. I'm trying to protect him by being mean.
It depends. If you, I think this is another good analogy for what's happening in the culture war, what's happening with society is you've got people who are gluttonous on social media in a social sense in that they will do weird things, get a positive response, and then say, I will keep doing this, because no one is giving them a negative response. You need to tell people who are doing bad things what you are doing is bad. And you can do it in a bunch of different ways. Calling someone creepy and degenerate is not the worst possible thing in the world for a person, and it may make them rethink targeting children and causing harm to other people.
I mean, sometimes the ends justify the means, and in the case of Matt Walsh, it goes bigger than just that video he released, because in Tennessee he also held a ban on trans rallies. I'm getting that butchered, but in Tennessee they actually also managed to pass something in their state legislature banning gender transition for people, I think, around 14 or 15. You need to fact check me on that, but he's actually accomplishing things, and I think it's called culture jamming. So Matt Walsh is doing a good job drawing attention to this, even if he is being a little bit mean. He's actually getting things done in Tennessee.
He's literally the one to talk.
Think about using anger and like just the whole society. I'm thinking about using it in like Jimmy Dore's. Like, you gotta get out on the street and block traffic. You need to be the disruption and like feel like in the 70s when they were protesting the Vietnam War. They were angry. They were pissed because their friends were getting drafted and blown apart, and they were like fear of being sucked into this stupid war. So I understand that maybe getting angry, there is some value to it. I see it get out of control really quick a lot of times, especially in conversation. So I don't know. What do you think, Chris? I mean, you've been doing this a long time.
I love the conversation yesterday on that. And I guess I think we do. It's about accountability. In a lot of ways, is what you're talking about. Is by being mean, you're driving accountability into the system. No?
Yeah. I mean, I call it accountability, call it whatever you want. The math is simple. If someone goes on Instagram and throws a pie at a stranger, and Instagram gives them more, and all users say, hey, that was really funny, you're amazing. We saw this with prank videos on YouTube. There were videos that were getting increasingly dangerous and insane. It starts with one guy being, I'm gonna do a prank, and he goes, bah. He like jumps out. You scared me, you silly goose, and he gets a million views. 3 months later, the dude's wearing a Freddy Krueger mask and drawing a knife and swinging it at people. I'm exaggerating, but you actually had a trend on YouTube where people would walk into black neighborhoods and throw racial slurs at black people because it got traffic on YouTube. There was no negative reaction to the things that were doing. Finally, YouTube was like, we're going to start banning content that does this and apply a negative pressure. I don't necessarily agree. I actually kind of agree to a certain extent with this. If people were doing things that were like expressing opinion in sport, then if you're literally trying to cause fights, that's what they would do. They would walk up to some minority, say a slur to them, and then get beaten up. And they were getting millions of views on this stuff. It's like bum fights. It's like, I got my life promoted and given positive response to it. What ends up happening is there needs to be, it used to be journalists, they'd be like, hey, this is a bad thing and we're going to show you, and then everyone would be like, shun the bad person, shun them. Now we're in this era of total acceptance. So people go on Instagram, people go on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and they'll do something genuinely bad and harmful, but now they're getting protected by big tech. They're going and telling children to harm themselves, and they're getting protected. And then Matt Walsh comes out and says, he didn't say it screaming or spinning. He's very honest. This is the reality. This is the truth. You need to have that so that the people who are doing the bad thing say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do this. I'll give you an example. He was talking about Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan Mulvaney has videos where he's giving tampons, he's talking about taking tampons and using them, all things like this. Dylan Mulvaney did not care that people on the right were critical of it. It was only when leftists got critical and said, what you are doing is creepy, did Dylan Mulvaney go, I'm sorry, I was just trying not. The negative reaction worked in stopping a person from doing a bad thing that hurt people. So you don't need to go and do anything crazy. You just need to say outright, like, I don't like you. I think you're bad. I think you're unattractive. I think you're an evil person. Tell them why they're bad. Don't let them just, don't tolerate it.
And I wanted to clarify on the bill in Tennessee that Matt Walsh helped drum up support for. It says Tennessee House Republicans on Thursday overwhelmingly passed a ban on gender transition healthcare for minors. The bill prohibits children from receiving puberty blockers, hormone therapies, or surgical procedures. People who receive the treatments as minors will also be able to sue parents, guardians, and physicians for authorizing the care under statute of limitations. Wow.
You think Daily Wire being in Tennessee has anything to do with that?
Well, Matt Walsh had a rally there that helped drum up a lot of support for this, and he lobbied for this as well, and definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, What is a Woman as a documentary was tremendous. It pushed the story into the mainstream. It was all, like, everybody had talked about it, was watching it. Joe Rogan, this is crazy. A lot of people did not know what they're doing, and they're still doing, and they're expanding. So,
one of the weirdest things about protecting, like not letting people do harm to children, you can't put kids on puberty blockers when they're 11 because that's going to hurt them in the long run. You can't cut children's penises off because that's going to hurt them in the long run. But then I've heard from other people are like, if they don't get the chemical castration they need, then they're going to kill themselves and you're doing harm to them. If they don't get their penis cut off, then you're doing harm to them because they don't feel right. And it's like, how is that? How do those two realities?
It's not real.
Because there's evil.
Yeah,
It's definitely a warped. It's a warped way of looking. I think it's a warped way because it didn't use people. I've never heard people talk like that before. So it seems
it's a
like
cult. It's like Donald Trump gets on the phone with the president of Ukraine. He's like, "What's this video that's going around where Biden's trying to withhold money or something? Can you look into that?" And then the establishment machine comes out and says, Donald Trump engaged in a quid pro quo, and so now he's going to be impeached. And it's like it was Joe Biden who did that, not Donald Trump. They project, they accuse everyone of doing what they are literally doing. That's it. So when they're targeting children and putting them in situations that could result in death and suicide and self-harm, they accuse everyone else of doing it. When you take a look at what's going on with detransitioners, and there's more and more every single day. We were talking with Ali London about how on Reddit there's 50,000 members of the detransition subreddit. Horror stories of saying, I was tricked into this, I was rushed into this. I think Chloe Cole is now suing Kaiser Permanente. Yeah, so when these people come out and say, no, we have to, otherwise the children will be harmed, it's like, I'm pretty sure amputating the genitals of a child will not save their life, but probably cause them to self-harm in the future. That's just common sense.
Chris, I know we're seeing this transgenderism and LGBTQ ideology infiltrate a lot of different parts of our government and society. I know you were his former Secretary of Defense, can you tell me? And you also served in Afghanistan. Did you see any of that in the Army, and what have been the current policies towards it? Do you think they should be different?
Specifically, General Milley.
You set me up for that.
No, I didn't.
Hey, I did. This might sound cliche, but it's not. It's true. I never met a single person that joined the military to fight the culture wars, right? Military is the ultimate meritocracy. Work hard, you'll get promoted, and so people join to prepare to fight real wars. So I have great hope, and I know you guys get a little down once in a while, like this is ancient Rome or something. But I'll tell you what, the sergeants, the ones that are responsible for like 4 soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, Space Force, squadrons, focused on making sure they're promoted. And I went down to Special Forces Group recently because I thought maybe I'm out of sorts. I'm old. I've been out of the military for a few years. I went down there just to kind of do a temperature check on the sergeants from the Army, and I'm like, okay, they still got the right focus. The problem, I think, is that they're confused because their leadership is getting involved in the culture wars. And they're like, if I get involved in the culture wars, I get fired. And so I think there's a confusion, there's a loss of confidence. between those that are down there doing everyday work, leading soldiers, and their bosses who are saying, there's that saying, do as I say, not as I do. That doesn't work in the military. You got to be coherent. So I'm worried, yes, but I'm also enormously confident in our young leaders. These kids are 21, 22 years old, and they're responsible for 4 or 5 other people's lives. They take that pretty seriously. So I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the fact that senior leadership's getting involved in things that they shouldn't get involved in. They need to focus on warfighting, combat effectiveness.
I was thinking, like, if something were to happen tragic and the United States was sucked into a war for real, like the balloon floated over the United States for 5 days or whatever, like, that I would hope the military is ready to step in and take control if Biden can't do his job, which it seems like he's not going to do his job. I don't want to not have faith in God, but I don't have faith in him.
You don't want the military to take over.
I want if there's a commander that is incapable of commanding, he needs to be relieved of duty.
That's what we have the vice president and the speaker of the House for. There is a line of people that assume a line of civilians that assume office. If the president can't do his job, you do not want the military to assume power. When we have the whole Constitution has got like all this stuff handled.
I don't care about the Constitution in reality. If we were under threat of death, I don't want Joe Biden in control of the military or Kamala Harris.
Chris, so I know that trans soldiers, they could currently openly serve right now in the Army, and the force will provide hormone therapy and mental health care. Do you think that's within the purview of what they should be happening in the Army?
Hey, Merritt, I'm going to tap into it a little bit. First off, Phil, preach it. It's all about civilian control. And the last thing as a military officer to think, and that's part of my hope. I'm concerned that the military, all the senior officers are getting too big-headed about this and thinking like, yeah, there's a problem, we'll step in. Because there were rumors about that, remember, with President Trump, that the senior military leadership was like, we think this guy's crazy.
The third, on January 6th, the third in line to the office of the president asked the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, hey, can we just have the military removed? Like,
Can we get crew-served machine guns?
Nancy Pelosi requested a military coup on January 6th. Like, that actually happened. She went to Milley and asked him, and then it blows my mind that
She called and said, can they intervene and stop Trump?
I was
should
there.
Trump try to engage in any kind of military activity? He said, ma'am, that would be a coup against the sitting president. She tried.
yeah.
I get the
What
civilian
was that?
leadership.
I mean,
Like obviously we need civilian leadership because of the attitudes of taking control with the military government. But if you have incompetent leadership, do we just wait and hope that the next civilian is going to do it right? Like, do we just simply wait?
What guarantee? What makes you think that just because the person that would assume control for the military is somehow competent? Just because they're in the
I
military?
don't know. I just know that Joe Biden's not. In my
Yes,
opinion,
fair, but that doesn't mean you throw the Constitution away, or you just go ahead and throw all the laws away. Well, Joe Biden, he's got tapioca for brains, so we got to go ahead and get a general to run the show. That is a terrible, terrible idea. I feel what you're saying, concerned about Joe Biden. I get it, because I feel it too. Joe Biden, I genuinely believe he's got cognitive problems, but just because of that is not a justification to have him removed from office with guns. Like that is third world country, that is banana republic stuff, that is like going to war kind of stuff. That is not what we need.
that is like going to war kind of stuff. Like I'm saying, if we are declared war upon and now we're in it, there are Chinese troops in Alaska moving down. Like, do we just wait for Biden to wake up? Do we wait for Kamala Harris to take control? Like, what do we do?
Let's ask the expert who's currently sitting across from us. What do you do in the event? Let's say the U.S. gets invaded. Let's wheel things back. Chinese spy balloon comes over the U.S., potentially tracking data on nuclear sites, potentially tracking data on the sensors that it's picking up what's coming at it. So the things that we're using to detect it is actually detecting. Let's say that's a precursor to the move on Taiwan. Let's say before the move on Taiwan, we've already seen China go into territorial waters around Alaska and Hawaii. let's say they start positioning the military, strike on Taiwan, and then instantly we get a battalion of Chinese troops paratrooping or crashing on the shores of Alaska or something. Do we just sit here and go, Biden's got to handle it?
I'm flashing after they're gone. It's been remade, right? Let's see the second one.
In the event a true conflict reaches the shores of the United States, do we just sit back and say Biden is our president and he's got it?
I still have faith the system will work in regards to, like, that's not something you can ignore, right? So, and this is kind of comes back a little bit, like, so you've got Secretary Austin, he's the Secretary of Defense. Yeah, Mark Milley, you can say what you want. General Milley is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They will go to the president and say, this is what has to be done. Now, the question is, what's their guidance? But at the end of the day, that's like an act of war. So we're gonna go to war for that. If we've got, now you could, let's talk about that spy balloon. Was that an act of war that it violated our airspace? Well, we let it. Go ahead.
I think the issue is Milley and whoever else, they're going to go to Biden and go, Mr. President, we have currently an incursion into U.S. soil in Alaska by a Chinese unit. We need to act now. And Biden's going to be like, so deploy the troops to Libya. And he's going to be like, sir, you heard me. Get it done. Okay. Do they say, no, I won't follow that order. You meant to say Alaska.
That's exactly my concern. Your last resort when you're in those positions, if your boss, in this case the president, says something bad, you resign and you go up. We don't do that anymore, right? So that's the concern, is everybody's in lockstep right now because they want to get promoted or they whatever, and that's exactly the issue that concerns me. Is who's quit? Let's talk about the spy balloon. Who quit? Who offered their resignation over that? That was a gross failure, right? It was a gross failure. Shouldn't somebody have been fired?
They won't even admit that it was a gross failure.
But shouldn't, in the military, someone should have come forward and said, I was responsible for the defense of our airspace. It was violated. I failed. I am quitting. I'm resigning because I failed to do my job. Nobody's come forward to do that. So that's my concern, is we don't have that ethos now. That's essential to the officer.
That's why I brought this whole conversation up, because, like, where's the leadership? But I can see, like, the end of the Roman Republic. Julius Caesar came with the military and took control of military dictatorship empire. I don't want that. But that's where my mind is focused, with a lack of leadership. With, like, what the hell's been happening last month? Where was Biden in East Ohio?
I want to say this. I'm wondering, we talk about rules and rights, and often it's not black and white. There's a gradient. To what degree do we accept censorship or oppose free speech? Even people who say they claim to be free speech absolutists, I'm like, you got a limit. If somebody's posting videos of child exploitation, you're probably going to find out, okay, yeah, that's not speech, that's illegal. It's like, well, it's not, and that means you don't agree, you don't believe that anyone can just say or produce anything they want. There are certain things that are illegal. And then even insofar as, what if you're not a producer of it, you're sharing it for some reason to express an idea? No, you can't do this. So we accept that there are limits in this regard. I wonder about, I kind of lost my train of thought. What were we just talking about?
We're talking about basically we need to resign, the ethics of, a leadership and whose accountability. I thought was kind of where we were going with this. I got you about Caesar. That was my biggest concern.
Right.
January 6th, there was this narrative.
I got it back.
Okay, I got it back. Go.
Yeah, so my issue is basically, we obviously don't like, say, like Cambodia, the Khmer Rouge, the Killing Fields, whatever. We see what happens when brutal, merciless dictatorships take over the Soviet Union. But I wonder if the reason there's such a negative view of things like the Roman Empire is because the people who are in those countries, who wrote down the stories of what happened, were fat, gluttonous degenerates who are shocked to find that a country was actually trying to have some morals again. What I mean to say is, it's not black and white. There's certainly circumstances where we're like, okay, we got a problem with this dictatorship. And I'm sure there are circumstances where you get a more classically liberal but community-based, stern attitude of service guarantees citizenship. That is to say, a government that doesn't come to you and lock you in a gulag and mercilessly beat you, a government that comes and says, I'm sorry, we are not going to pay your health care because you're a glutton and you're eating too much food, you need to stop. Well, the gluttons, the degenerates, are going to freak out. They're going to write every story in the world about how fascists are taking over, and we're watching this happen. So if I saw something that was like service guarantee citizenship, if you want to vote, you have to provide some kind of community service. Not military, maybe it's picking up trash. The left is going to scream, fascism, fascism, and I'm kind of like, doesn't that just mean personal responsibility? No one's telling you you're in a prison, no one's going to beat you, you can still speak, you can still play video games, you can still eat all the ho-hos and ding-dongs in the world, but we're saying you've got to be responsible to the community around you. They would call that fascism. So in the event, we did have a quote-unquote military takeover, but I'm saying that, somewhat tongue-in-cheek. I mean quite literally if they came out and said, hey, there's a minimum standard, but you'll be able to live your lives as you see fit. The people who are going to write the history books are going to claim a military dictatorship destroyed freedom in this country, when in reality it might actually just be something like, hey, we're about to collapse, the country's going to fall apart, the economy is spiraling out of control, there's riots in the street. I'll give you a better example. If Donald Trump deployed the military, invoking the Insurrection Act during Civil War, saving people's lives, they would write down in the history books, a military dictator, Donald Trump, suppressed free speech. So I question these narratives throughout history. Some of them are probably right, some of them might not have been as bad.
The most recent, at least supposed coup that almost tried to happen in our country was supposed to be January 6th. Chris, you were acting Secretary of Defense at this time, sixth in line for the presidency. So if some coup happened, I think it's sixth in line. Can somebody fact check me? I believe it's sixth in line.
No, that's pretty.
Could you tell me a little bit more about not your role in January 6th, but our reaction to it, as I understand it, the national.
Careful with your phrasing there.
And then also we were talking about people resigning. There were a lot of people who resigned from the Trump administration.
Sunshine Soldiers. You brought up if we would have sent soldiers up on Capitol Hill on January 6th, the morning of so let's go back. Let's go back. I'm going to be pedantic and talk about our high school civics class. Capitol Hill, legislative branch, military, executive branch. Capitol Hill, you don't go to the executive branch of the military unless you're invited to do something different. It's called a military coup. So I was not going to be part of that, obviously, because that's un-American and violation of the oath of office and the Constitution. So this narrative that we should have moved faster or have been up there beforehand would have been. Could you imagine what would have happened if we would have pushed 5 National Guard troops up on Capitol Hill before the riots started?
Wow, it would have been a mess. I know the only person who got killed was Ashley Babbitt by Capitol Police Officer Michael Byrd. That was the only shot fired. Do you think that was a justifiable shot given the situation?
Well, the protective service, I don't. It appears to me that when she came that she crashed into the security bubble and shot it. That was the moment when I realized we had been promised that the police in Washington, D.C. and on Capitol Hill handled up to protesters that day. And you don't use your military for domestic law enforcement. That's what cops for. You don't use military. You don't use soldiers to do domestic law enforcement until civil society is broken down, like a natural disaster. Everything's gone. You know what? That's when you go in there. That's when the military serves and does law enforcement. Until that happens, keep the military out. The military. We talked about Vietnam. The military really tons of American civil liberties by spying. These are the things that are still doing it.
My last follow-up was going to be many people in the Trump administration decided to resign as a result of January 6th and the events following it. You chose not to. Can you tell me a little bit more about that decision?
Yeah, because I wanted to get more facts. I had been in combat for a day or two. I'd been a leader in the military, commander in the military, and you got to be stable. You got to be steady, right? That's what good leaders do. I saw a lot of those political figures that bailed out, doing it for political reasons. I was like, we need to find out what happened. We're still finding out. So, you know, here's the one that always bugs me. These bigwigs it would have been, the reason I stayed is because I had to protect something. If it wasn't for me, you know, I had to protect our soldiers. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that's my job. I got 6 weeks left or whatever it was, 4 weeks left. And, you know, what was that? Was it Thomas Paine, Sunshine Soldiers? What's that? Yeah. So you get paid for the good times and the bad. And you really get paid for the tough times. That's what you get paid for, right?
You never thought it was a coup or anything?
Dude,
Just
I was
like-
running the
Because
Millie was
exiled?
right about that. Millie's like, you know, the only way it has to come through us. There was going to be no military coup. I mean, dude, I spent my life in service to this country, and I swore before the Constitution. There's no way I was going to allow, back to your point about resigning. If it came down to that, and the president was not about it, he wasn't going. If it would have gone there, I would have resigned. I've gone right outside and gotten on TV and said I resigned in protest because I was asked to do something anti-constitutional. Period. In a story about it.
That's if he asked for you to bring troops out.
If he was going to use that inappropriately anti-constitution.
What about the, I forgot the date. Was it May 29th? What was the insurrection? May 29th. What about that? You had these far leftists setting fire to St. John's Church. They set fire to a house that turned out kids. And the response was, police came out, did their thing. I suppose it's probably the appropriate response.
There were National Guard there. That was one of the... Remember, the National Guard flew helicopters down the middle of the streets that evening? Wow. Oh, God. There was... a lot went on. That's not appropriate use of the military.
You don't think so?
No, that's what... You know, local law enforcement.
What about when they're not doing their jobs? I mean, in Seattle and Portland, we saw, what was it, 120 some odd days of them.
Even New York.
They were firebombing federal buildings for 100 days. Far-left extremists were throwing firebombs and explosives. Like, at that point, shouldn't the federal government have to defend its territory, like its building, and let the people who live in the area?
Federal government put in...
They didn't.
They put in huge numbers of federal law enforcement to protect federal property. The issue was the mayor was on the leftist side of the spectrum and was allowing that to happen. It was a debacle. And you've been out to Portland lately? Oh my God.
But all that really happened was federal law enforcement stood inside the building, and then the leftists continued to firebomb it for 100 plus days until they got bored with it and stopped. The feds didn't actually come out.
Feds were all over that town. Don't you remember the crisis that happened?
Then how did it go on for 120 days? Like, why did it not stop?
I believe federal law enforcement should come in without absolutely protect federal property, but the governor has his National Guard, his they have plenty of access to security forces, law enforcement, and National Guard without calling in the federal troops.
If the federal government can't stop people for 3 or 4 months from throwing firebombs at this building, then they should probably just leave. They shouldn't be there because they're completely impotent. I know they were there. They did the joint unit. They had DHS. They had ICE. They had a bunch of CBP or whatever even coming, and they could do nothing to stop far left extremists occupying the city and firebombing their building.
That was it.
So you can't do it. You shouldn't be there.
It was like they sent troops into a siege, and then they just had to sit there and besiege for.
What was the point?
It's better than having no troops in the siege.
I mean, I get it, but I think if someone commits a crime against the federal government has a right to arrest criminals. But hey, look, man, I guess I'll side with my libertarian friends on this one and be like, the end result of this, in my mind, the logical conclusion is, it's a waste of taxpayer dollars to have federal law enforcement be paid to stand around for 4 months while people firebomb a building and they can't do anything about it. So how about we just save ourselves the money, let the far left keep running amok and doing whatever they want, because clearly we're not stopping it. If Portland and Seattle have that behavior, then far be it. You're right. Federal government, don't be there. Shut the building down. Leave. What's the point of having a courthouse for the federal government if they're not going to arrest and convict these people anyway? Waste of time.
Case study, what we're seeing. Yeah, the interesting thing in Portland, I was out there a couple months ago. is local business is now in rebellion. Comes back to economics, right?
Why
And
wouldn't they?
They are cleaning that town. There's been a sea change in their attitude, but it was a case study of things just going out of control.
Yeah. What happens if a governor requests federal troops? Do they then owe the federal government something? Like a payback later kind of thing, or is it just they come and they serve for free, no questions asked?
There are loopholes, technically speaking. There's some law that you have to pay, something, but usually it all gets paid. So if the governor would have asked for federal troops, well, first off, he would have said, have you expended all your, 5,000 members of your National Guard that work for you? It's like, I have, and I still have not gained control of city XYZ. And then, federal troops would have been in support.
When the George Floyd riots happened, I think it was day 2, I walked into the living room 2 days ago. Why are we not seeing the National Guard? What's happening? Why fires? Why? It's the same thing. Like the feds did not want to get involved because it was the state.
National Guard did go.
The federal National Guard did go.
No, DC.
But the summer of love was all over the country. We saw rioting in towns people have never heard of. For somehow, and there's crazy videos. There's videos of like Antifa far leftists walking through some kind of like suburban neighborhood, and a bunch of young men who live in the areas came out and then countered them and chased them off. But we had this report from Michael Tracy of these small towns in the Midwest where stores were ransacked, windows were smashed in by BLM and Antifa, and they were like putting up boards, spray painting, small business, please don't hurt us, and things like that. And Tom Cotton wrote, send the troops. The New York Times went to revolt, and Donald Trump said, no. Just let the country be destroyed by far left extremists.
But every governor has their National Guard, citizen soldiers, 1 weekend a month. They're part of their National Guard that they control.
So,
well, how's that the federal government's problem?
I mean, if the federal government can't do anything about national, widespread, far left terrorism, then I will just revert back to the whole national divorce civil war conversation. Because at this point, it's kind of like the federal government can do one thing. It can steal money from your paycheck and then burn it in Ukraine. Meanwhile, our businesses are being set on fire, and we're having far left extremists up to our libraries. We're having adult sex performers perform for children. And I can rest assured that local government will do nothing, and the federal government will take money from my paycheck and my business and burn it in Ukraine.
I think it's about arm yourself locally. I don't want vigilante justice, but like if your governor won't do it, or your president won't do it, and people are getting killed outside your house, like what? What are people supposed to do in that situation? I've never seen that in my life, God forbid. Just local militia, is that actually constitutionally legal if the governor won't step up?
Absolutely. I mean, you can't go and kill someone. Like, you can't like have a posse and go just shoot someone. But like, there are places that have citizen arrest and stuff like that.
Yeah, look at Georgia. Look at the McMichaels. When a guy is a felony burglary suspect on camera committing felony burglary, and the police go door to door and say, this is the guy committing felony burglaries of the past several months in your neighborhood, and then this guy is reported running down the street. If you pursue him and he tries to steal your shotgun and gets shot in the conflict, you will go to prison for the rest of your life. If you are in Wisconsin and a group of BLM extremists who have already set fire to a building twice, if they show up to your house and you brandish a shotgun, the cops will come and arrest you. If you're in Portland and far left extremists create an autonomous zone where they kill people, mostly in Seattle where the people were killed, the police will do nothing. The federal government will do nothing. But rest assured, if you, as an American citizen, defend yourself from these people, they will show up to your doorsteps and mercilessly beat you. If you protest at the government, if you haphazardly bumble down the street in D.C., where the cops open the door to the Capitol building for you and say, come on in, I don't agree with it, but I respect it, you will find yourself in solitary confinement for 2 years without charges.
Where is the lie? Where is the lie? There is nothing lie. There is no lie. There's no lie. That's all true.
If working class people who are desperately trying to follow the rules are being told for the past several years, we'll take your money and leave you high and dry when the psychopaths burn your house down, and they're doing it in Georgia, these extremists who are protesting in the forest, burning houses down, flipping trucks over and shooting at cops. We are being told over and over and over again by local government, we will do nothing for you. We're scared of them. We're being told by the federal government, we will do nothing for you. But rest assured, I'll say it again, they'll take our money and burn it in Ukraine.
Speaking of burning money in Ukraine, Chris, I think you said that you wanted to reduce, or we could reduce the military budget by something like 40 or 50%. What do you think about the United States' reaction to Russia invading Ukraine? And what would you have done?
A real interview.
Happened if it done? What would your reaction have been had the invasion happened under your watch?
I don't like bullies in the story. I just, authoritarian totalitarian doesn't work for me. And, you know, the big difference here in Ukraine than we had taking our money and literally throwing it into the fire in Iraq and Afghanistan was, and when we left, all that money, you know what we were spending a week in Iraq and Afghanistan? $2 billion a week. And the whole thing came undone as soon as we left. Ukraine, they're willing to fight, they're willing to die, they're willing to have their infrastructure destroyed. So I believe that having support Ukrainian forces is in our best interest. However, I got one for you. Hey, let's go ahead. If it's so important, take that out of the DOD budget as opposed to just adding to the federal deficit. So I'm wondering if there would be such eagerness to provide exquisite weapon systems to the Ukrainians if that money was being subtracted from $158 billion that we spend on defense each year.
If I could get specific, so as I understand, we've sent more money to Ukraine right now than the entirety of the Afghanistan war. I know we just reached to the point in some tanks where I know at the beginning of the conflict about a year ago that wasn't even in consideration. How far do you think we should go with weapons? Should we send more tanks potentially? Should we send aircraft?
So here's my problem is the nature of force change, right? Tanks and planes aren't the answer. We're trying to build them an image of our military that we have lost every war that we have fought since World War II. I think Korea's going to go into bombs. I'd actually. So my issue is like sending all these exquisite, wicked, expensive tanks. What's a tank going for? It's called let's use an aircraft. Aircraft goes for about $120 million a piece. Drones can go for, what's a DJI? The Chinese DJI goes for 2,000 a piece. I'm not going to do public math, but you guys have your computers. 100 million divided by 2,000. So let's go ahead, instead of giving like
50,000.
That's a lot. Can you imagine if you're sitting there, you're a Russian, and you're like, okay, I got my radars up, I see one plane coming, I'm good, I can handle that because I got a bunch of missiles. Can you imagine all of a sudden the radar screen just goes all white and 20,000 drones are coming in on you? We're fighting on it. That's my concern. So we're sending all this money that it's the wrong capability.
They can create light shows with drones that take the shape of a human face and have it animate and look around, and then a hand comes out and like waves. All the drones just make the lights.
Love those.
Imagine if they did that, but like had them fly in scatter formation carrying kilograms of explosive material or something, and then wars. The things you can do with drones and explosives, they can actually open up a computer, choose every single target for 20,000 drones, and then every drone just targets windows, apartment buildings, cars. I agree. I think we're fighting an old school kind of way.
That's
Chris, isn't it a little bit contradictory though if you want to reduce spending by 40-50%, but you still want to send more arms to Ukraine?
So that's the thing I'm trying to argue in my book is we can reduce spending if we rethink how we do our military operations. Instead of a $14 billion aircraft, that's $14 billion. Instead of $1.5 trillion for the F-35 fighter, that's all Cold War stuff. It's not going to last a high-intensity war. It's going to last 72 hours. We need to rethink all of this. We need to go cyber, we need to go machine learning, artificial intelligence.
Whoa!
So you want better spending, but
Straight into AI?
No, autonomy.
Oh, okay.
Because what Tim said was you could this isn't like some Skynet thing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being able to go a human in the loop, but going, okay, we have 500 targets, and then you can program your stuff to go get them without having to have a
Like
person in
heat
the
seeking.
loop.
Yeah, so you can say like these are the parameters of what we target.
And so my big thing is return. We've got 1 million people in uniform active in Russia. We have 1 million in the National Guard and Army Reserve, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks during the year. And then we have about 700,000 civilians. 700,000 civilians work for the Department of Defense. My point is we can cut a huge amount of the active duty force. I want to go back to the citizen soldier. That's what I want. I want to go back to the citizen soldier who lives in his community. And you guys were talking about social unrest and everything. I want that community to have their soldiers next to them, living there, and we don't have that as much anymore. So that's.
I want to ask a question. Someone in the super chat asked this: do you think that the U.S. provoked Russia through its operations in Ukraine?
I think what provoked Russia was our failure to withdraw effectively from Afghanistan. And we were so feckless and it was such. That's not to criticize anybody who was on the ground doing the work. That's not what I'm criticizing. But the failure, that was a debacle. And I think Putin looked at that. I think when they open up the Politburo archives in like 50 years and they look at their National Security Council notes, they're going to go like, wow, Putin saw that as weakness in the United States and saw that as a green light to go after. We saw it in Taiwan.
So why did Russia go into Ukraine?
I have no idea.
I think I know. I think they want Sevastopol as a trade port. When the Soviet Union broke up, they took it and they gave Black Sea access and direct access to Ukraine. They want to keep Russia from becoming a global economic hegemon. But now he's trying to take Sevastopol in the freeways east 97 and 95 down in there.
I watched the morning shows, where they had all the retired generals, like Barry McCaffrey and Admiral Stavridis and all these
Joe
people.
used to watch that all the time.
Right, man. And you remember last year at this time, they're like, Kyiv will fall in 72 hours. And then, of course, today they're like, oh, the freedom fighters in Ukraine. The reason I bring this up is anybody that predicts what's going to happen over there, I have no confidence in.
I agree. I think everything we've been told from everybody, is just been wrong. I think Russia obviously has its interests with Ukraine, so it's not fair to completely blame the U.S. operations for provoking Russia. Russia wanted, like you were saying, Sevastopol, Crimea, Donbass region, regardless of what the U.S. was doing. What ultimately happens is, I think Vladimir Putin laments the fact that they lost Ukraine with the fall of the Soviet Union. They want access. They have operations, and then both the U.S. and Russia are engaged in influence operations in Ukraine in an attempt to win the favor of the Ukrainian people. But it seemed like, for the most part, the majority of the country was moving towards NATO and the EU. Even when I went there, that's what I saw. People in Kiev were like, we want access to Europe. Europe was wealth for these people. They said if we get Schengen zone, if Ukraine becomes a part of the Schengen zone and we can freely travel and work, our standard of living is going to skyrocket. Our wealth will skyrocket. Russia's offer with the Federal Trade Union was not that appealing to them. Of course, you get the ousting of Yanukovych, U.S. involvement to a degree. You've got Joe Biden, Burisma, energy operations competing with Russia. Both the U.S., NATO, and Russia have heavy interests. Russia moved in because the U.S. was winning. There was a Cold War with Ukraine before there was a hot war. Russia turned it hot because the U.S. was winning.
Well, they annexed Crimea, which was potentially could have went hot, but they didn't. They just let it happen.
That's the line. The annexation of Crimea was the line between Poland. They brought in military into the region. There was not enough fighting, but they took that land. Then it went hot in the Donbass region. Donald Trump gets elected, everything kind of simmers a little bit down.
Do you think if we would have reacted differently to this seizure of Crimea in 2014, that this situation would be different?
In what way?
Because Obama, we didn't eject. We let him take it. And maybe we were too concerned about something, I don't know.
The U.S. should have declared a no-fly zone. Well, so there's a couple ways I look at this. First, my principal morals are, if they cannot justify to me and the American people why we should be spending money and being involved in Ukraine, it shouldn't happen in the first place. Strategically, Obama should have declared a no-fly zone instantly over the Donbass region and Ukraine, which Ukrainians would have supported outright. And that would have prevented Russia from aggressing in the first place because that would be a direct act of war against the United States. When it came to their buildup on the border a year ago, before the invasion, I and many other people were like, the U.S. strategically should have declared a no-fly zone before Russia invaded, because then Russia's move would have been an aggression against the U.S., putting them in a very difficult position. Instead, we have a Biden who sits on his hands and does nothing, and the military apparatus around him. Russia moves in, and now our hands are tied. Now we're sinking money into a toilet. And it's just, like you were saying, what, more money than Afghanistan?
So
I saw
20 years of Afghanistan. Too.
in 20 years of Vietnam even. Crystal Ball was talking about this. It is a strategic nightmare. So this is a component of why I'm like, we should not be in this. We should have nothing to do with it. We have, Ian, we surrender Afghanistan. It's a disaster. You mentioned Putin sees this and he's like, wow, now's my opportunity. It has been just, look, man, everybody knows I've been playing poker recently. You get a bad hand, you fold. If you don't, and the most important lesson you can learn is if you're the 8th best player in the world, and you're at a table with the 7 other best players in the world, you're the sucker, get out. The U.S. should have seen everything that was going on and been like, we're really bad at this and we're going to lose. Cut your losses and leave.
Chris, I want to ask you about, so I understand the arguments that people make for helping out Ukraine. Frequently, there's something wrong with if you don't stop Putin, he's going to keep going. You can try to bring back the Soviet Union, etc. And those arguments to me are not compelling at all. And that's just because NATO. What's wrong with waiting for NATO to actually get involved until there's an actual threat to a NATO country? There was a reason why Ukraine is not in NATO. And this is literally, if I understand correctly, NATO didn't want Ukraine because they didn't want to directly have a conflict with Russia. And that's what we're getting at. If we continue to support Ukraine, at some point there's going to be dead NATO soldiers, and then there's going to be people talking about Article 5, and I don't see the offering at all right now. I don't see how we avoid that because we keep committing to indefinite support until Russia's beaten, and the realistic perspective is Russia is only going to be if they choose to be, because they do have nuclear weapons. So I don't see where the off-ramp is with us supporting Ukraine today. What are your thoughts?
Hey, NATO, President Trump is right. Can't freeload anymore. Good on NATO. Good on NATO for all those years after World War II where we bankrolled their security. Cold War's been over, 30 years?
Some say it never ended, just switched to China.
Oh, yeah, good. That's a good one. Well, we could go someplace on that one. Talking about the complex. So, the Poles, when I went over there, I was over there a couple, 6 weeks after the war started, the Poles went to this university, right? And gave a lecture to some international affairs class. It was interesting. They literally, the leadership of the university went sidebar to they were petrified. Now your point about
I don't, and that's why I think
so. That's existential.
Exactly, and that's why I think that as harsh as this is going to sound to a lot of people, we should keep our nose out of Ukraine, because I don't see Putin actually making an attack on a NATO country, because that just, I don't see any benefit for Putin to do that. To actually try to engage in a war with NATO.
There's a lack of NATO unity that I could see him invading Estonia or Latvia, and then posing the question to the American people, are you guys really willing to fight and die for Estonia? Because that's what a lot of people in the United States would be asking. And if you guys ask me that, I don't know how I would respond. Do you think American soldiers should die in Estonia if Russia invades?
That's the question. You just nailed it. I know.
That's it.
I know, yeah. So, I don't know if the American public is ready to answer that question. If Russia was willing to take that, Chris, what do you?
Oh no, you guys go ahead.
You're the secretary
Yeah.
former.
I would not die for the Estonian people at the moment. They are lovely people. And I'm here for you in my own way.
I think-
just not shooting people for you. But I think Putin's disincentivized of attacking NATO countries because he wants Turkey.
He does. Let's be clear. He does not have the ass right now. Like there is this great statement that I heard when we were losing Iraq the second or third time. I can't remember. Great powers should never fight small wars because one of two things happens. One is they win and they look like a complete bully and everybody gangs up against them. Or two, they don't win and you show you're feckless. Everybody goes, wow, that's a paper tiger. I don't think Russia, they do not have the combat capability right now to do anything. I mean, so
They got them nukes, though.
oh, come on. So I'm all about strategic defense initiative, Star Wars. Like we were talking technology earlier. Dude, I think we have the ability to put that. You know, we were talking earlier about putting the bubble around. I think we can do that. So I'm like,
Strategic
fine.
Defense Initiative.
Just like
Star Wars. Remember, everybody made fun of Reagan. Like this guy's a complete lunatic.
The problem with defensive bubbles is things that come straight down pierce the bubble, or a better chance to pierce the bubble, like hypersonic straight down.
But the real
Oh, yeah.
issue is Russia probably has invested in cyber warfare more than anything else.
Well, information operations too. Their bot farms and everything.
Yes, but I think the bigger issue is Russia probably has the capability of blowing up an oil refinery in a minute. It's the cybersecurity is nigh impossible. It's very easy to attack. It's extremely difficult to defend. You have so many attack vectors throughout the country. You won't even. It's impossible to shore up defenses because you don't know which of the tens of thousands of industrial plants to protect. And you could start by trying to protect all of them, update every single one. But even when you do, eventually someone will find a new exploit. The military, the Russians will every single day be trying to find a way to break through, and they will find it. And then they can
Think ethically about a general armistice in eastern Ukraine, because what I think is happening is they want that Black Sea port. They want to be able to ship into the Mediterranean and sell steel to the world. United States, everybody, and that means an alliance with Turkey, which means an alliance with NATO. So the end goal seems very positive for everyone involved, except for the fact that the Ukrainians would have to cede the eastern territory, the Donbass or the southern Donbass. But do you think that that's a reasonable de-escalation tactic?
You're triggering me, and this is where the American hypocrisy bothers me, that there's this idea that somehow we can dictate terms. The Ukrainians get to decide, and the Russians get to decide.
and we can stop giving them money.
And you know what? If we stop giving them money and we stop giving them stuff, they're not going to stop fighting. And it's going to go old school. So that's that fight.
There's no left to fight.
Ukrainians have shown that the biggest change I saw from when you were over there, right? It used to be about 50-50 split. 50% were like, let's go Russia, the other 50%. Let's go to the West.
Leading Western, but
Dude, last time over there, and the hatred, I'm sure it's like 90%. Yeah, the Donbass and all that, they're obviously, that's the transports, we all know that. But my point is, we're not going to get to decide that. The Ukrainians get to decide that. How the wars win, or how the wars end, exhaustion. And those two countries don't seem to be exhausted yet. So,
yeah, but Ukraine is. Look, Russia's got its problems militaristically. Ukraine's only able to do anything because of NATO support. If we were not providing them with weapons and intelligence, they would be flat. Russia, even Russia.
I totally disagree. The way that, and that's part of my book actually, is we talked about how we should need to fight differently. When the Russians came down from the north to try to capture Kyiv, and what did you have? You had like babushka women out there, slapping plastic explosives on freaking, Russian tanks. You had little hunter-killer teams with their pickup truck and, anti-tank guns and stuff. So that's my point, is they're absolutely capable of defending themselves, even if we pull them. They give you a lot of rights, don't get me
That's a
wrong.
great argument for us to pull everything out and back off and because if that's the case, then I see no reason for us to be.
But why? It's not,
What do we gain from it? What do we get? Why?
Yeah, I want to ask you that. Like, why would we bail? Why would we pull out when we can fix the Russian war machine in a interminable war?
What do you mean fix the Russian?
They're stuck right now. They can't do anything else.
So what do I, as a tax-paying American citizen, gain from everything we've done in Ukraine?
Well, I kind of been conservative believes in Christ through strength, and I don't like bullies and authoritarian regimes. And I get tired of the cliche about this. I get
what about
tired of
Pakistan? Should we get involved in the China dispute with India?
I get tired of that cliche. But where's it end? We have to stand someplace. These people are willing to fight now. There's not a single American troop.
What's our dispute with Russia?
Well, they're authoritarian, totalitarian regime that has designs on conquest.
So why aren't we involved in the China dispute with India, right? Why aren't we involved in that dispute?
They're taking care of themselves.
So I thought you said the Ukrainians could take care of themselves.
Yeah, they can.
So why are we there?
Why not? If all they need some material and some...
But we've got U.S. personnel on the ground. We've got special forces operating there.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
Prove it.
I'll pull it up right now. Special forces have been operating for a long time.
The internet is so legit.
Chris.
This is a big
Chris. Come on, you know that there's evidence there. You know they're there.
I mean, you can call The Intercept fake news. Will the Biden administration shine light on shadowy special ops programs? Let me...
No, that's programs.
That's an old story. That's an old story.
Yeah, right.
Let me... The Intercept reported this a while ago. Let me...
There's American volunteers, I'm pretty sure, but
because
because they're volunteers.
They're volunteers. I suspect there are small numbers. Last time I was there, I'm telling you, other than at the embassy work, there were no special.
There's not Americans there to help them, train them on the equipment we're setting.
No,
They
they're
were
in Poland.
They're military inspectors.
I agree. I don't like bullies. The United States bullied Iraq and Afghanistan for decades, so I feel like now we have Iraq. Russia's going to take eastern Ukraine. China's going to take Taiwan. There, every warmonger wins. Now we're the three strongest countries on earth again. Can we just be peaceful and calm?
People say that practicing Zen is difficult, but there's a misunderstanding as to why. It's not difficult because it is hard to sit in the cross-legged position or to attain enlightenment. It's difficult because it's hard to In Japan, we have the phrase shoshin, which means beginner's mind. If your mind is empty, it is always ready. It's open to everything. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few.
Mm-hmm.